All right, so we're live. So I've got Jong here, the founder and the CEO of iiRcade, which is a new startup for home arcade. Now, if you're watching this stream, you guys have already heard about it. I know the big news today is the Kickstarter. It's live, and in fact, at least one I think product might already be sold out. We can take a look at that. But basically, Jong launched the Kickstarter and his team this morning. It blew up pretty big. John, do you want to talk to me about what your expectations were and kind of where you see the Kickstarter being right now?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And hello, everybody. So great to see you. Yeah, initially, we expected this to be to do pretty well, but I didn't expect this. Right, we were expecting maybe in the first hour we would be able to break our goal. So that's where we were focusing on. We did not expect us to do 4 times the goal within less than an hour.
What's the number out right now, by the way? Do you know?
Let me see. I gotta.
It looks like, so I'm looking on screen. I think this auto refreshes 187K plus 516
like
backers. I'm going to refresh this just to be safe. But yeah,
that sounds about right.
Man, that's
187.5, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'd like to take this chance to thank our community for making this happen, because we worked very hard for this, but I don't think it's us. The credit is deserved by the community and our fans. So I want to thank them. I want to take this opportunity to give my huge thanks to our fans and community. Thank you so much for making this happen. It's all you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know we're gonna have a lot of questions in the chat. We'll make sure to get to as many of them as we can. But I guess wanted to bring you on to tell your story a little bit. Before we jump into the background, what are your thoughts on the news you shared recently? Dragon's coming. This is the first licensed version of it in the home arcade market, right? So that's coming. You've got your preset lineup of 10 games. What's your view now that you guys have your initial game set? Honestly, how excited are you guys got Dragon's I'm curious. Was that a hard license to get? I'm genuinely surprised no one did it sooner. But go ahead, your reaction to that.
Yeah, thank you. I was very excited as well, because I'm a huge fan of the game. Especially if you look at our device is extremely cinematic, and we thought Dragon's Lair would be like perfect fit, because if you play Dragon's Lair on our device, it really feels like you're watching a Disney movie, right? So that's we said we have to get it. Getting the license was very difficult and very time consuming. In fact, one of the reasons why we had to delay was to make sure that we can get Dragon's Lair before we make the final announcements on our game list, etc. And they worked very hard, the company, and they made it happen for us. So I was very thankful. Great thing was that they really loved what we're doing, and they loved our experience, they loved our product, they loved what we're trying to do for the industry. But it was there are also legalities involved, financials involved, so there are a lot of discussions that had to happen. But at the end of the day, they made it happen, and we were able to make this happen together. So I was very happy about it.
That's great. So I'm sorry, John, we had some reverb. I've got some new hardware, guys, and it's always scary going live with this stuff. I'm told the reverb's done now, so that's good. So we'll keep it going. So, all right. Let's go through, I guess, the 10 games that you've got. What's your view? If somebody wants to buy this product, they're kind of thinking about the landscape of what's out there. The other products are known quantities. They've been out for a while. Less so the At Games Legends Ultimate, the arcade one-up's been for a while. But what's sort of your view of just the unique value of the iiRcade and why that's exciting as something people should think about, given that we've got this landscape now established?
Sure. Do you mean from preloaded game perspective or as an overall?
Just overall.
Okay. Sorry about that. I have some cold, so
that's all good. Better than my audio reverb that I had. I think my new webcam microphone is picking up the audio too, so I think that's what was going on. But go ahead.
I think you're fine as well, actually. So we're good. But with iiRcade, when we were initially starting it, we want to do something that's extremely innovative, right? Something that is not on the market, something that will give a next generation experience with what we're trying to do. And then we started working on what that means. And basically, the product that you're seeing right now is what we, from our definition perspective, next generation meant. So if you play a game on iiRcade, let's say you're playing the exactly same game on iiRcade versus anywhere else, you'll feel something that's completely different. And that's the experience that we want to bring, right? So when I say experience, it's not just about the big screen that we have, or about 100 watts of audio that we have, or about premium joystick that we have. It's the entire thing put together, and the feeling that comes out of you, what that means. That's the experience that I'm talking about. And when that experience is genuinely coming out from your heart, when you're seeing this and you say, wow, that's the experience that we want to bring to you. And in order to make that happen, we had to go through right, how to define this, how to make this happen. And on top of that, as we're hardcore gamers, we've been playing games for a long time, and we knew what the pain points were. And we wanted to make those happen for you as well. So, for example, we integrated wireless and wired headset because this is for home, so I know you need quiet. All the retro games that you love, as well as we also want to bring new experience and being able to play modern games on the device with latest quality graphics, right? With games that are really exciting, first-person shooters, that kind of thing. And then, of course, we knew that your house is not infinite in size, right? My houses are small, right? Spaces are limited, so we wanted to make sure that it fits in your house.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm most excited about is this a la carte gaming stuff. I've been sort of banging the drums on two things for the last 3 to 6 months. One is a la carte, or DLC is another way to put it, but allowing people to buy the games they want for these platforms we own and that we're going to own with the iArcade once this drops. So that's, I think, really exciting. You guys were the first to go there. There was another company, At Games, talked about doing it, but they haven't done it yet. I'm sure it's coming. But you guys are there now, are going to have it as soon as the product launches, and your whole product's built around it. So I think that's really exciting. The other thing, I like the idea of supporting development of new games that, nowadays there's not a huge market. If you want to produce a modern arcade game and you want to push it to the arcades, yeah, you could make something for Dave and Buster's. Raw Thrills is a great company, but they kind of own that space. It's not a huge space, it's limited. I think the market of tomorrow are our home arcade products, and getting these companies to target that for new games. But let's talk first about the a la carte model. You guys did release pricing, which is exciting to me. That was a big unknown. Yeah, so you guys put a plant in the ground and said, this is our pricing. So good on you for doing that. How'd you come up with that pricing? Was that largely driven by the publishers? Did you guys have much latitude in setting that? And then just talk to me in general about the cost of the games that you're going to be able to sell through this.
Missed, right? You didn't have a chance to play because these games were not in your local arcades, but they're awesome, and these are some of the games that deserve to be played. And these new games require some risk, right? So if we charge, for example, making this up, $60 for these games, there's going to be a lot of risk for you to play. But so we said we have to make sure that the prices are there so that the risk is minimized, so that you can try these games and fall in love with it. Because there's always a first time in playing a game. So based on that, we said these are the ranges that need to be done. Second thing, and then there's the bottom-up approach where we go to the game companies. And these prices are not set by us. It's set together with the game companies. And we had a lot of negotiations, and based on the pricing that the ballpark range, our target, we discussed with the game companies, and we came up with some numbers. So we put all these numbers together, and then we looked at the numbers and said, oh, okay, so this is a range, right? So based on the current numbers that we have, this is a range. Lowest will be at $2.99. So if you don't drink a cup of coffee, you can get a game. And most of the games will be between $4.99 and $14.99. Again, depending on which coffee. It can be a couple of coffees or one or two cups.
I'm sure Starbucks sells something that's $15. I don't know what it is. They've got to have something. Even at that top end, I bet you could still sub something out.
I hear you. I totally agree with you. So if you don't drink cups of coffee, then you can get these games. And great thing is most of the games that we currently have are less than $10. And for me, if it's less than $10, I'll take a risk to play a game. Some story that I had from my history, right? When Resident Evil first came out, I'm like, oh my God, like this new game. I don't know this game. I'm not sure if I trust it. So I didn't play it. And
yeah, I assume you mean the original Resident Evil on PlayStation 1?
Exactly. And then later on, I played Resident Evil 2. And you know, one of the things that are biggest regret until this day is not giving Resident Evil 1 a try. Because if I had tried, when it was really big, I would have been able to experience that more fully. But because I didn't do that, I wasn't able to. And there are lots of games like that available in the arcade market and everywhere. So the other thing that we wanted people to try was give these games a chance. And with these prices, we think that's possible. So that's how we came up with the pricings anyway. And I'm also glad that the feedback was really good as well. So.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have specific pricing for specific titles you're ready to share yet, but as an example, just a benchmark. So for Space Ace, do you know how much that will cost as an add-on?
Space Ace will be more on the upper side.
Okay.
For obvious reasons, but again, upper side, the highest you can go is $14.99 right now.
Okay. So you haven't yet announced any of you got these 170 titles, but the exact pricing catalog that isn't available yet. We just know that it's going to be between $2.99 and $14.99 for each, right?
Yeah, we have some good ballparks. A lot of them already locked down, but
okay.
One of the things is that most of these games are not. We're not just bring them over, right? There's a lot of customization, and there's also a lot of work done. And many of these game companies want to be able to charge a little bit more because more efforts were put in, and even when they were originally made too, which makes sense. They did put a lot of effort and money into making this happen for you. And especially on iiRcade, there are also many games that were customized to make this happen with great experiences, and I think they deserve it. So, I mean, we're not talking $30 more here, right? We're maybe talking a couple more dollars to give them what they deserve. So.
Okay. So if I want to change gears real quick about availability of the physical cabinet. So for everybody listening, if you weren't here in the very beginning, so this is on Kickstarter now. I think that currently the $2.99 model, those are all, I believe, spoken for, but there are a lot of other different packages. So there's other stuff that is available. But what about when this hits retail? So right now I know we want to get as many people in the Kickstarter as we can, but some folks are going to wait until it hits retail. Do you have a timeline yet, or retail partners lined up yet? Like, how far along are you in that process, or do you plan to just do more of a favoring direct sales model? New Wave Toys recently said in an interview, we now prefer direct sales, and they've been in Target and Walmart and stuff for a long time. So obviously there are benefits to both sides. But what's your view of that, and when can we expect to buy these either direct from you or from stores at retail?
Sure, great question. And we do have retail partners right now, and we're talking to a lot more retail partners. We are getting a lot of interest from retailers, and especially some of them seen it, they tried it, and they fell in love with it. So, they're like, oh my God, they were surprised. But anyway, that's happening. We're targeting the holiday season. for retail. But some small ones we're also talking to them about how to make this happen and things. But it will be on retail, and we'll also be looking at doing some direct sales as well going forward, of course.
Okay. And can people expect that for 2020, or do you plan to keep it Kickstarter exclusive for the year?
No, we will probably have something from a target perspective, quote unquote, by end of the year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then on my point earlier about getting newer games that are designed for an arcade first.
Yeah.
I don't mean taking like a PC game and getting it to the arcade. I'm sure we're going to see more of that going forward. But I'm just talking about this legion of developers that are into making retro style games right now. We see them out on the consoles. It's huge on PC. Streets of Rage 4 is a kind of a quote unquote retro style game that was a major release this year. I think a lot of people took notice of its sales.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate now that because you have all this power in this cabinet,
Yeah.
and I'm saying that to say a lot of folks say, oh, the other arcade products, it's going to be a while before they get to more modern developed games because they just aren't ready to handle it. Yours, it sounds like could handle a modern game, and it already is with Riptide. What do you think the future is of getting these game publishers and developers to do new games that actually target the home arcade?
I personally think it's very possible, and I love the question, by the way. If you think of the movie model, I sort of see this as something similar, right? So first of all, on movie side, right, they didn't bring it over to home market because they wanted to make more money on in the theaters. I think gaming's a little different because, right, the machines in arcades were so much more advanced than what were at homes. And of course it was not direct experience translation as well, right, from arcade machine to the TVs, but also the power of the machines were so far more superior in the arcades than what it was at homes, and I think that's changing, right? And with iiRcade, one of the things that we are innovating here is we're breaking that wall, we're breaking it down completely. So now, if they wanted to, they can bring those to homes via iiRcade at very affordable prices. So right now, once that wall is broken down, the only thing that needs to be discussed is the business side, right? So it's now here it's only a matter of whether these companies are open to make this happen together. If they are, and we are all ears to make it together, make it happen together with them.
That's why I think it's so smart that you're starting with an online store infrastructure.
Thank
Because
you.
that's going to be in place, and then now if people want to plug into that infrastructure going forward, obviously we've got to sell some units first, and we've got to build a market. But once it gets to that point, the technology's already there, and then like you said, it's going to be a matter of sorting out the royalties and whatnot. Okay.
And by the way, I think one of the great things about arcade is that there are many different kinds of games, like how you mentioned, that we are able to make this happen, right? So, for example, on arcades, anywhere from the good old retros to the modern arcade games, and also games that were not on the arcades but are awesome, and they were meant to be like in arcades, right? For example, Riptide GP Renegade or Beach Buggy. If you play those on iiRcade, they're amazing, right? I've played these on other platforms, and it's not the same experience. It's a completely different experience. So if we're bringing those over to arcade experiences now, and if you think about it, these companies that are making these games, right? Initially, when they're making it, were they thinking about getting these into consoles or phones or tablets or whatnot? Probably not. And these games, depending on how they're developed, it all now depends on where we plug these games into. If, like for example, Beach Buggy, right? If this game was plugged into an arcade machine and were sold to Dave & Buster's, people will be like, "Oh my God, this is so awesome!" They'll be playing like crazy. But in arcade machines, there are restrictions, and that's one of the things that I think iiRcade provides an opportunity for these game developers, amazing game developers, to be able to deliver these games and deliver them on an arcade platform as an arcade experience. And from a gamer perspective, gamers will be able to try and experience these games' new experience as an arcade experience right from your home. And that's one of the things that iiRcade is trying to bring.
So I want to talk a little bit about branding of the cabinet and the
Yeah,
artwork. So I think it was P Dubs, but somebody posted on the official iArcade fan page
he does.
a mock-up of like I think it was Dragon's Lair art and Double Dragon art were the two, and so showing what your arcade form factor would look like with an actual game's art. Now, putting a game's art on a multi-cade is kind of interesting. You could either not have it at all. If you do have it, you could do a mashup of multiple art from multiple games, or you could stick with one standout title. Now, I doubt you want to do 100 different SKUs with all these different artworks, but let me pitch you on the concept that someone else pitched me on it a few months ago,
Yeah,
where you take the artwork and it sort of magnetically or somehow connects to the cabinet, and so you're sort of putting a skin on the cabinet one way or another. And so somebody who's really passionate about Double Dragon, we can't go buy a Double Dragon arcade one up, but we could get an iArcade and then brand it for Double Dragon. Have you talked about anything like that with your licensing partners, or is that a direction you want to go in, or do you really want to preserve the arcade branding? And for my take, I do think the cabinet currently and its design looks really good. I've said that before, but I really like original artwork. So if it were me, I'd really love to have that skin. But what's your view
yeah.
of that?
No, it's a really good question. And when I the work that PW the work that PW has done a marvelous work on getting those two designs done, and they're certainly beautiful and everything. As far as making that happen in a real life, it actually takes a lot of work to make that happen, right? To make it into reality. One thing that I would like to let you know is my ears are open. And if I'm getting a lot of great feedbacks on this, and people are looking for it, we'll certainly look into it, right? And again, in future, anything is possible. I've said this a couple of times, but I consider iArcade as sort of a community company where our community, and we are sort of like one team to make these streams happen together. So whatever you tell me is very, very important for me. And I am listening to every single thing that you're telling me. So if you guys really want it, let me know. And if game publisher agrees, for example, then we'll definitely look into doing it.
Yeah, and I bet you could even get the game publishers to spend, well, I don't know if some money is the right way, but get sort of if you sold this as an accessory and get a revenue share going, and you guys both make money, I guess, if they're add-on panels. But I want to dig in on what you just said about the community, because I think it's really important. So obviously, I know it's not your first rodeo. You've done other business type endeavors, so you know that there's always a surplus of feedback. You can't take everything. However, this is a community just in general of arcade stuff, real passionate, real opinionated, but also usually pretty informed opinions a lot of people have, because they've just been in this hobby for so many years. There are other companies out there, I won't name one in particular, I don't think has done the best job collecting community insights and harnessing that. Sounds like you want to do that. Do you have any ideas for ways to do it? Because I've pitched before. I think like if I ran one of these companies, I'd be interested in an advisory board of folks that have been in the arcade business for a long time or been in the community for a long time, and basically get their insights, on some regular cadence. Do you have any specific plans for how you want to harness these community insights to just really bolster iArcade and your plans with it?
Sure, thank you. Great question. So first of all, we need to take this step by step at a time, right? Because if you eat everything at once, then you're going to get a stomach ache, if you know what I mean. This is from a process perspective.
John, I haven't eaten all day, and I'm waiting for a huge dinner. So you're talking about food right now, my man.
I hear you, my friend. I also need to eat something soon, but I'm okay. I'm good at going hungry.
Don't pass out on me.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm drinking a lot of water, by the way.
So,
good. I'm cold, but anyway, so what I'm doing right now is one thing that I want to let you know is right outside of being a CEO of the company, I'm more of a gamer, right? I'm a very hardcore gamer, just like you. So I'm nothing special. I'm somebody like you. So whenever I talk to my fellow gamers, I get very excited, right? And in fact, in our community right now, I made a lot of amazing friends, and I'm talking to them every single day about games and things like that in general, and I'm getting a lot of great inputs. And I'm also reading all the comments that are being posted on our websites and our social media and things like that, and they're extremely helpful. There are a lot of great positive comments and there are a lot of great constructive comments. They're all food for me. So I'm taking those in and understanding what you're looking for. And based on that, we're making our plans to make things happen. And if you look at what we have been doing so far, a lot of your feedbacks have been integrated, right? So for example, Dragon Slayer is one of them, by the way, too. I'm not gonna just bring in a game just because I like it, right? But I'm listening to you. Many of the games that we brought in are coming from your feedback. If you look at our specification, Bluetooth that was recently integrated, guess where that came from, right? HDMI.
And the Bluetooth is for headphones, right?
Yeah, right now it's for headphones.
Do you have plans to extend it to controllers?
Anything is possible in the future, my friend.
Okay.
But anyway, HDMI out also came from community feedback. And right, for example, Stefan from Tech Bars, he really pushed me into doing it, and I also, right, that's when I started listening to see if anybody's looking for HDMI out, and I found that many people are looking for it, so we integrated it. So we're definitely listening to our community and bring those in. Again, like you said, we cannot bring everything in at the same time, right? Because, right, if you bring everything in at the same time, it's gonna mess up the entire thing, right? You cannot eat the entire food at once. You have to eat it little by little. But we're doing that, and how we're doing this is by prioritization. So let's say 10,000 people are looking for Dragon Slayer. And we look to see how important are these from overall community perspective, and we'll take that input and we're going to go implement. So whatever you're listening, whatever you're looking for, right? This is something that I say over and over again. Please let me know, because your inputs are very important for me, and I'm listening. And many of the things, right? Many of the things, if you look, people are asking for the same thing over and over again. I'll do it. Definitely, we're going to look into it. So this is how we look into listen. This is how we listen to you, and then this is how we take the feedbacks and make it happen.
Okay, and can you talk to me a bit about this big hire you guys made? So you hired a gentleman from PlayStation. I think he worked on.
Sorry.
I think he worked on PSVR. I won't try to pronounce the name. I will goof it up, so I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
But that was a big hire. How did that go?
Sure. So I used to work at Sony as well, and I knew him for a very long time. We used to work together, and we were family friends. And right as we worked together with him, I knew how awesome he was in making things happen. And again, he's a really big name, right? So initially, I didn't think he would consider. And then one day I gave him a call, right? Not to bring him on board, but right, to ask him a question on game licensing to see if this was a good way to do it. And this was in a Barnes & Noble parking lot. I talked to him for about 3 hours at the time. And we're talking, and we told him about what we're doing. He got extremely excited. And the conversation continued, and he got interested. And he said, this is something that will change the world. So he wanted to come in, and everything else is history from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know it takes time to see that develop, and obviously the fruit of that's going to be a while. But have you already seen a jump from that? I mean, surely with someone who had such a substantial role with PlayStation, people have to take that seriously if they're thinking about who they should license to. Yeah,
absolutely. If you look at our number of games, so in this industry, how it works, it takes a very long time to license games, especially big names, right? Many can take anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So he came on board beginning of February. And beginning of February, guess how many games that we had? 3. We had Double Dragon 1 to 3. I'm sorry. And by the way, Double Dragon 1 to 3 is also something that he helped us to make as well. And anyway, as soon as he came in February, and now it's June, so 4 months, he made 170 games happen. And if you look at those games, we have some really big companies in there too, right? right? Psycho, for example, Tour Plan. I don't know, many people may have heard them, many people have not. If you're looking at it from world perspective, those are really big companies, right? And I mean, Psycho, for example, got really excited about what we're doing, and they said they wanted to do an exclusive partnership with us, right? So that's how powerful he was in making this happen. And especially now, if you look at it, right, all these were made happen in 4 months. But it's not only 4 months, it's 4 months when we were not in the market yet, which means this is a time when nobody's listening to you. And during the time when nobody's listening to you, we made over 170 games happen. So think about how powerful this will be when we are in the market, making sales, and have a lot of people playing our games. Just imagine how powerful this will be, and this is exactly what I'm looking forward to. And this is exactly what I mean when I say the game really starts at launch. And the games that we have right now is just a taste, because again, this is a period where you're not supposed to be able to get any games, but we already have 170.
Yeah, and listen, I think that's a tremendous achievement. There's been some feedback in some of my comments and elsewhere, people saying, all right, well, when are the games coming? I mean, it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg dance. You got to get the product out there. You got to build your audience. I didn't expect 170 already. I still want to see what comes next, but I think this is a tremendous foundation. There are a lot of big name companies involved, so huge hats off to you and the gentleman from PlayStation that joined you. Question about just kind of a fundamental question about the Kickstarter. For people who are backing it now, when are they going to get this? I'm seeing October here, but what's the earliest? So if they were in the super early bird, I guess it looks like that's October too. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we're looking at October right now. If things can happen, obviously, and if things happen in the good side, it may be earlier. If things happen on the bad side, for example, this shouldn't happen, but let's say Corona burst again or something like that, then it's going to be delayed, obviously. So we cannot tell the future, but right now we're saying October. And that's our target.
Okay, and yeah, like you said, stuff can change, but you really are targeting really an early holiday 2020. What can you tell people about your plans for customer support? Because I think sometimes I think the other companies that are out right now doing arcade, they have better support that they get credit for, but then there are times when they just drop the ball hard and things fall through. It makes you wonder, are just the margins on these products so razor thin that no one can afford decent customer service? And maybe that's the case. But what's your plan to offer for folks? This is a robust cabinet. There's some complexity to it. You know, if there are software issues, obviously it's online connected, so you guys will be releasing patches to the software, I'm sure. But what can you tell folks that if they're going to buy this now, what can we expect from a customer service perspective from you?
Sure. By the way, the margins are pretty thin. But I think one difference with our iiRcade is that we're doing this out of our passion. And one of the reasons why we are saying is that this is a community-driven company is that we strongly believe in it. And because of that, we believe that customer service is a huge part of it, because we want to make sure that our community is happy, and that we want to deliver this as part of what we call iiRcade premium experience. It's not only about the device, right? Device is just a start. There's so many things that is involved in it. Shipping experience, customer service experience, right? Anything that goes outside of the device, those all need to be a part of that premium experience that you're trying to deliver. And we're taking customer service very seriously, and we're going to work very hard to make it happen.
We're maybe a little ahead of ourselves with this, but I just always think about the future on this stuff. What's your view of alternative control panels or alternative controls into the future? So right now we've got the most core control available. Obviously the joysticks. Is it a 6-button or 8-button cabinet?
It's 6-button.
Okay, so 6-button cabinet, which covers the vast bulk of arcade games. But what about for folks that are interested in spinners, trackballs, light guns? A lot's been made about light guns lately. I know you don't have anything to announce on that today, but what's your view of that going forward? Do you want this to remain a pure joystick system, which I don't think is necessarily a bad answer, or do you want this to be adaptable into the future, or do you want to be able to sell different versions of the cabinet for those different formats?
Sure, thank you. That's an amazing question, and I do get a lot of requests on spinners and others. One of the reasons why we went this way is because we wanted to, for example, let's say when you were looking at the games that we have right now, we want to make sure that we are focused on experiences of this one experience. Let's make that perfect, and then we will move on to the next one. We will make that perfect, and so forth, right? Do this step at a time. So this is one of the reasons why we focused on making sure that this joystick experience, we want to make it perfect, and then we'll move on to the next steps. The great thing about iiRcade is that from day one, it was developed very modular, which means I don't know if customized is a good word or not here, but for the lack of better words, it's very customizable in the sense that you can take some, for example, if you want to replace your monitor, you just take out what we call monitor module and just plug in another monitor module. It's extremely simple to do. And if you want to swap out a control module, you just take it out, put another control module. It's very simple to do. So we made it modular on purpose. So later on, if it makes sense, quote unquote, iiRcade is extremely upgradable.
I have a question about on the specs front. It mentions HDMI out. Is that HDMI out to connect to the existing monitor, meaning I can swap it to your point now, or is that an additional HDMI out? So I could, like, I use wireless HDMI in my house to duplicate my view to a monitor in my game room, in addition to my TV. Like, would I be able to do that here? What purpose does that HDMI out serve?
Oh, sure. Great thing about our implementation is it's a separate one, right? So you'll be able to play your games on your iiRcade monitor and a external TV at the same time. So, awesome. Right. So if you want to, for example, just like arcades, right? You connect it to a TV and you're playing your games with your friend, and then you have everyone else watching you playing on the TV. Or if you want to Twitch it, or if you want to broadcast it, then you can play while you're recording on the TV, and then recording on your PC, and then streaming it out. So I think that's very powerful that we can do dual display. It's not an HDMI that goes to either or. It is a separate connection, and you're able to display at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. That's what I was hoping for, because I've tried to do that with other cabinets with my wireless HDMI, and it just, you can make it work, but the adapters needed are really expensive and kind of a hassle. Okay, so 2 quick questions and I'll let you go. Yeah. So one is, can you talk we've got some questions in the chat about playing FPSs with the joysticks. I've talked to you about that before, and I think it's just something people are going to have to experience. To be honest, I'm a little skeptical of using an analog or a digital joystick for a 3D game, but I'll reserve judgment and wait and see. I'm probably a little more excited for the more 2D games and 2.5D type stuff, but would love you to talk to that. Some people are asking about how FPS games will work on this more modern first-person shooter. And then there's another question that I think somebody noticed: there's no shipping to Europe in the Kickstarter. Is that actually accurate? Is this a US only release currently, or what's your plan for distribution?
Yes, so right now it's focused only for US and Canada and Korea. Korea, because our factory is right there, right? And US and Canada, because, what's the best way to put it? We have the setup done here in the United States. Our warehouse is here, so everything is set up. And initially, we were also going to do South America as well, but we removed it at the last minute because logistics were very, very difficult. So we said, let's do this step at a time. We'll do Canada, US first. Focus, and it will grow. And then, meanwhile, we'll try to get to other regions of the world, especially Europe, as soon as we can. So my sincere apologies for that, but I think in order for us to be able to do this right, instead of doing it half right and stumbling and not making it right, we'll do our due diligence to make it happen perfectly in Europe and other regions as soon as we can. So I hope that answered the second question. I'm sorry, what was the first question again?
No, it does answer the second question because
Okay.
it's a bit. I don't know if everybody appreciates how big a project it is to take a product and sell it in all these different nations. You've got different regulatory bodies to contend with, and
Yeah.
people need to review the language and review the tech, and it's a big deal. It'd probably be too much for most companies to do right away. We're still seeing, like, Arcade One Up still doesn't have full distribution international. It takes a few years to build this up. The other part of the question was just about playing 3D type games.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and actually, I forgot too. That's why I started talking. I figured I'd remember if I kept talking. So,
I think that's a great strategy. I like
there
it.
you go.
But I totally agree with you. Many people who hasn't tried the experience are very skeptical. Initially, I was very skeptical. I mean, I'm not a first-person shooter player. I love it. I love the concept. I just get dizzy, right? And I cannot get used to the controls. When I initially played on iiRcade, right, we have digital controls, right? So I thought was going to be very difficult to control, whatnot. And when I first played it, it's pretty sensitive. So, right, initially when I played it, it was difficult, but it took me 20 minutes to get used to it. Maybe 15 minutes or so to get used to it. And after that, I cannot play first-person shooter on any other systems anymore. One thing that I found very, very strange, I don't get dizzy when I play first-person shooter on iiRcade. I get dizzy when I play on other systems, but here I don't get sick for some reason. So I am able to enjoy. And controls here now, it's much more comfortable for me than playing anywhere else. And especially playing this on an arcade environment brings me a very immersive experience, right? As if I'm on the spaceship killing the zombies myself. I'm like right there because the screen is right in front of me, right? Instead of 10 feet away, it's right there. And there's like 100 watts of stereo speakers and like really pumping this thing at me. And when I'm shot, I'm like, I feel like I'm really shot. And when I'm experiencing this, the immersive experience that I'm in the screen, inside the story, and everything that I'm hearing, everything that I'm seeing, seems like I'm like surrounded by it. The control I forget about. Control becomes so intuitive to me, right, as part of the integrated experience that I just control the character without me knowing, right? So in other words, you get very much used to it very quickly. It becomes very comfortable, and very soon, you'll notice that it's much more comfortable than anything else that you're playing with. And again, you're playing this for the experience, and it's very immersive.
If anybody has any final questions, get them into the chat before we jump off. And John, I'll give you a chance to do some closing remarks on the Kickstarter and what people should be thinking about and why they should back it. But listen, I think this is exciting. I think that's part of the magic of the arcade format is it really demands your attention in a world where everything's so distracting. I think you kind of have two gaming formats where you have to be engaged, and VR is an obvious one. You have a headset around your head. Arcade is another one. You're standing in front of it. You're looking right at it. It's the reason why, a lot of us have games we could play on our PC. We could play like the ROMs or whatever, but here we are playing them on arcades. I guess actually I will ask one more question. I think you've covered this previously in a live stream on Facebook, but the question is, because I get this a lot, will there be any opportunity to sideload custom software or ROMs, or does everything have to go through your system and it all has to be the legit ROMs?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. I really appreciate it. And the answer is absolutely 120% no. And I want to make that very, very clear because we're extremely against piracy. We have a lot of friends in the industry with game companies who are hurt by piracy and who are destroyed. The company shut down because of piracy. And these are people who are working 24/7 and spending a lot of money to bring these amazing games to you. As a hardcore gamer, it's something that I'm extremely against. And also from the other side perspective too. One of the reasons why I feel that people who are pirating is because there's no other option to play the games, right? Which is completely understandable. And this is where we're coming in and we're providing that experience, right? To be able to officially support these game companies, right? By paying for the games that you love and support them so that they can create better games for you. And And especially if you do that, then you don't have to worry about downloading, getting viruses and everything. And when you download the games, the experience is going to be is going to be perfect. And if you're able to make this happen for a price of a cup of coffee, I think our gamers are extremely passionate about right supporting our developers and everything that they will pay for it and do this officially. And one of the things that our game companies really love about us is especially because of that, and because of this fact, right? I mean, because we're very very against piracy. One of the things that we made sure that we do not allow is side loading.
Yeah, that's fair. And listen, I'm with you. I think if a company wants to monetize their back catalog, then they need to come to the table and sell that content directly or
Yeah.
license it. But that's what we're talking about here is getting a lot of content licensed that hasn't been able to be purchased anytime recently, like a Dragon's Lair or something, in an arcade format, I mean. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. If we support the hobby, we ought to put some money up. Obviously, the pricing has to be reasonable to get people out there. But I think by and large, the market is okay with that. You always have people,
Yeah.
and we're on the internet, we're on YouTube. There's always going to be a lot of folks who want to do things a different way. But the broad market of people, I think, have in mind that, yeah, of course, I'm going to pay money for a game.
Yeah.
That just makes sense. So
Yeah.
I guess with that, do you want to give any closing comments on the Kickstarter and why people should be excited about this?
Sure, thank you, appreciate it. So we're doing Kickstarter not because we need money. We're extremely well funded, but we're doing it for two reasons, right? Number one, we wanted to say thank you to our community because this was like the way that we can provide our device at the lowest price possible before we go to retail. So it was actually one of our ways to say thank you. And the second way is so that we can go to those big companies sorry, earlier ahead of time to get the games, right? Again, because these big companies really love what we're doing. It's just that we need to be able to show them that financially it makes sense. So instead of waiting until we go to retail and et cetera, et cetera, if we do Kickstarter and we are able to achieve a really good record-breaking Kickstarter campaign, for example, that we can utilize this information to go to our companies to get the games that you really love. So we were able to bring in the time that we can get to get these games for you. Again, our great thing about iiRcade is it's a continuously expandable game platform. So even if the game is not there, it's okay. Don't worry about it because right, it's just a matter of time. But anyway, this is the reason why we're doing Kickstarter, and we want to make it happen, and we want to make it happen together with you. If you look at our name, iiRcade, there are two I's. First I stands for me as an I. The second one I that stands for you as an I, which means you and I are together as one, and we're bringing the community together. That's what iiRcade means. And that's exactly what I want iiRcade to be, a community company where together with the community, we're making this dream happen. Like I said, I'm not, right, more than me as a CEO of iiRcade. I'm first a gamer. I love games, right? And we're doing this because we're so passionate about games. And if we're doing this as a passion, that we want to bring all our friends and family, our community into making this dream happen together. And especially because I'm sure we all have the same dream that we're sharing. So I want to make this dream happen together with you. And let's make it happen.
Well, you're making it happen right now. I mean, the Kickstarter success
Thank you.
is huge. So thanks for jumping on here. People are noticing in the chat some of the Kickstarter deals are getting snapped up. So sincerely, if you are planning to buy it, you want to do it now in this round. Make your move now because this stuff is very clearly selling out. This hasn't been up an entire afternoon yet. It's been up like I don't know 5-6 hours. So I would say if you do want to buy it now, jump on it before it goes. John, thanks for coming. Thanks for clearing up some of this information, sharing your vision. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again many times as this comes out to the market and people get to actually start enjoying the product. And yeah, you're almost at $200,000 in contributions already.
Already, wow.
More than the money. I mean, what a sign and what a signal of confidence in the community that this product isn't even out yet. So I'm with you. I think the 170 games licensed already before the market is exciting. I want to see what you do next. My vote is in the ring. I'd love to see some official game artwork available, as even if it's just an accessory vinyl or something. I think that'd be awesome. But yeah, thanks again for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. I think the
Thanks for
community
having
does
me.
too. These Kickstarter results speak to that.
I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I also want to just say thank you so much for everybody, our community and friends, for making this happen together. And I think we can definitely make this dream happen together. So let's go and make it happen together. Thank you so much again for everything.
Great work, Jong and team. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys, in the chat for sticking with us. And yeah, we'll catch you later.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye bye.
Thank you.